Yep.
104.3.
22 minutes at top. Atiki.
Chairman,
Many edge now. Boko there.
Yamiadomo.
Gambaga phone here.
Oh, Republic for Mina HL.
Many edge now, papa, me who watch it.
Me so, Chairman, my feel pa.
Yeah, the Yamiasi. My dear Nana Akomia.
Kwame Sefa.
Yes, Nana. Ekoye.
Kwame.
Nana.
Ekoye.
Ujidi.
Pa.
At least when I want one thing.
Ye wini.
Hey.
Say Ekoye.
Sir. Hey. Nana. O vima no pedi. Ye wini ana obeka yarini. Ya I'm say yarini.
Sir imre no endu ye. But o share na koso na ye wini.
Oh sure.
Pa. Na den Kwame onye sure.
Say me bisa wona woka.
E na unji ndia na.
E dey na we hu ntia okasa.
Oh, sir e form ni ye.
Sir.
E form ni ye pa.
Ati kune ne ya adwini.
Chairman, well, media Ghana for never decided, but they have a lot of work to do to convince the Ghanaian public say they deserve an extension of mandate, because OSHA and the EcoCD they are seeking to extend their mandate. Until now, they want to break the 8 no. And you would have to do a lot of explaining, a lot of so Ghana for Omuntra mandate no emamu. And I think there's a lot of explanations to be done.
Yeah.
And I'm sure say in the coming days the Nisuadi Huna Omudiabe to Jano and some of the responses of Mudimano. Discussions.
Talking about the Nisuadi Hunu ne Niamani bi Omabe to Jano yen shebi. Reset Ghana ANDC. And memne de tremi no more winneba. Na and semni de be free mobile. Specialist Children's Hospital. I am Pierre to Kufado is the president Ghana never had. Baumia is the economic wizard Ghana never had. Mahama's 26-point agenda, promising homegrown fiscal strategies, okay, homegrown policies those days. Ocean Uria, a vice president and running flag bearer. Mahmoud Baumia, so or say we don't need a reset, we need an upgrade. Also, the 14 key commitments are Toho. Baolaya tag, we are responding finally. Or say at least I'm not government official one. Until when and someone about PM in the last 1 week and half, if you like. So far, what do you make of it? On our policy analysis. Medasiminia.
I'm just.
But watch your microphone if you are not kakra.
Oh, okay. Okay. With the me sure in the coming days, yeah, sector by sector, especially you know the ones that border on fiscal and monetary policies. No,
exactly. Your forte.
But just generally speaking, I remember 2 parties and 2 candidates now, but say mutimi outdoor manifestos because no nature nyom pese omuye edima Ghana man, and for which reason Ghana function no muntu aba emomo na mamisha sem free near NDC Ford because they launched DS just recently.
Yeah, last Saturday
over the weekend. Omo kanzem bebre na for the purposes of a discussion, I'm just going to focus just a bit on the fiscal policy now. And Usha Enuna Edikan in their manifesto. That's the first you can say policy in their manifesto. And Usha, they have some key policy objectives they want to achieve. They want to increase revenue mobilization. They want to lower government expenditure. I mean,
scrapping some taxes as well.
Well, until way and you would expect every government ideally. So,
yeah.
Because if you don't enhance your revenue mobilization, now one cut down on some expenditures, you will always be running deficits. Until these are regular normal things. And they also are hoping to reduce Kano to sustainable levels and so on. And mostly they also want to reduce consumption-related expenditure and then focus more on capital investments or expenditures. Now, these are Abaimbia Ekani. But the most important thing is, what are the means to achieving these ends? Now, when it comes to revenue mobilization, but some I have some concerns. Now, obviously they want to broaden the tax base.
Yeah.
This is not the first time they are saying that.
Broaden the tax net or widen the tax net.
This is, Chairman, it's become a rhetoric. Every politician or upper power would tell you. So to increase our revenue mobilization efforts, I say tax net. But as to what would constitute a specific basis expanding, and the specifics are that would constitute the expansion. And that is where the problem is. It's not just enough to say we're expanding the tax net, but which areas are we expanding the tax net, and which areas initially not that is where the conversation should be. Na BBC yen can say yen G2 but say G2 nti ye de eno beka ho na ebia this tax population na enyo mu nyina na tua. These are the measures ye di to akwam so that we'll capture the entire tax population. That is where the conversation should be. But ABR, they would give the excuse that this is a manifesto, it's skeletal, it's a broad framework, and you don't expect all these specifics. Now, they've also spoken about the fact that when it comes to your natural resources and the extractives, they are seeking to review, and I don't almost they will review the extractive sector regime.
Okay. To
enhance Ghana's stake in our natural resources. I don't know what that means exactly. To say that you are reviewing the extractive sector regime, what does that mean?
Just say, bro, for tinting.
And you're clear. And me, I always say, look, there are some criteria every policy must meet. Chairman, clarity, actionability, and sustainability. These are the three criteria every policy that is worthy salt must meet. Until when you say you want to review the extractive sector regime to enhance Ghana's stake in our natural resources, what exactly are we talking about? What is here? Because I have had, and the organization I work with, Mazda has had cause to say, look, we are not getting a lot from natural resources, and it is partly because laws now, even though we have amended in 2015, Act 900 allows the minister to increase the royalty rate, but that has to be subsequent to a legislative instrument. Until we are still taking 5% now, even though Mrani says you can increase the royalty rate.
Ain't you had any increase here?
I don't know. Until when you say you are reviewing the sector, what exactly are we saying? Okay, says here, yes, I be review Mrano to say clearly this is the percentage by way of royalty in EBG, and now you are going to say okay, in every lease agreement, government is going to increase its free carried interest, and now government is going to say in every new lease, government is going to buy more shares because the Minerals and Mining Act allows you after the 10% free carried interest, to buy or negotiate some more. Is that what? So how are you increasing the stake? What is here?
Yeah, clarity
is very important. Now, they've also made the point, and on this one, Moya dream say, almost say, minerals and mining laws, you will see. We need. I have made the point, and on this platform, and Mass Action for Sustainable Development in Africa has submitted a memorandum to Parliament. What do you say? Barari DV Limited or more lease agreement with government, it's been submitted to the Committee on Lands and Natural Resources for review and a recommendation to the plenary. Says here, and they invite, and for the first time, Chairman, members our committee for no Abaso.
Committee hearing.
Committee on Lands and Natural Resources.
Okay.
For the first time, Chairman, a lease agreement they have publicly announced for memoranda from the public for the first time. They be I am so be for what dream bra who saying and once you be where see mining lease and a lease agreement here pass it. But for the first time, and unimnienti, Chairman, we are dealing with a mineral that is a critical mineral. Lithium is a critical element.
Very.
And again, we share global efforts towards decarbonization. No, one of the drivers of SAR decarbonization efforts, the transition to the use of EVs,
electronic vehicles.
And at the heart of lithium batteries. And the idea is like our new oil for the next generation.
Do we even understand it?
And that was the question. Have we taken our time to know, say, look, the green transition revolves around these critical minerals. Will be. And or mind be was minerals. Why are we in a rush to sign lease agreements? When Uko Baby to say Chile, prior to 1974, all those who had lithium concessions, they were allowed to continue until the expiration of the term of such concession. But from 1974, basically, they have refused to give new lease to anybody that wants to mine lithium.
Any particular reason?
Because Chairman Omenim said, Adi Dachi, until you pray on Hunaya and Tiasia the way Okayano, and to Mubu and Tiasia, how do we add value? All the relevant Numa to make sure say they optimize their gains from lithium. No, until we said from 74, they realized that lithium was good for even nuclear energy as far back as 74. Said, look, we are not giving new leases. All leases prior to 1974. No, you can continue until the end of some lease period. No,
and afterwards, then
because Chairman, that is the future, and they are taking their time to make sure that they get the best lease agreements.
So you think we should do same?
That is exactly the point. And this is what KBB and say they are going to review. And in fact, we have suggested in the recommendations to Parliament, we said that so we took our time, did engagements, consultations, and at the end of the day, we came up with the NPRM, the National Petroleum Revenue Management Act. Stability Fund, Heritage Fund, and even some money the supportive budget called APFA, annual budget funding amount. And even how our stake in the sector is going to be. Ghana's carried and participating interest in they were all captured in a new law. Yanka say, because we have some bits of legislation on extractives, Debbie, because you say oil is strong. In the same manner, lithium is strong. Until they are suggesting say one of the ways they can increase the government's revenue, which I totally agree with, and say they are going to set up a new law. New law that would take care of these critical minerals to enhance our revenue from the sector. And I think that this is something that and I am excited about, because it's something we have talked about, and we continue to amplify the need for a new law. We can have lithium and related mineral and other critical minerals law and our management act. Is going to be focused just on how we manage some new minerals, some critical minerals.
Okay.
And they've also spoken about the fact that when it comes to banking, they are going to introduce the friend diaspora bonds. I am waiting to see how they are going to explain what the nature of such bonds would be, because it would be a departure from the international capital market instruments now, use like the Euro bonds and the rest of the other bonds. They've also, when it comes to revenue mobilization, they said when it comes to the port, and this is another area I have a great deal of interest. Port. When you ask the GRA, so government's revenue is in two forms: tax revenue and non-tax revenue. Kanina and middle income country, we used to get a lot of grants. says here you see Ghana is a lower middle income country, which means yensu yenyi, and that brings in its wake some, if you wish, constraints. Sikana na sebi yenya no free mrebi a etwe mu no says here yentimi nya sa sikane biem. We still get support grants here and there, but not as we did before. Until what you need to do is to increase your tax revenue. And one of the biggest sources of Ghana's buying tax revenue are the ports. Now, but says here we are not getting as much as we should because of the arrangements are here or port.
Okay.
Dr. Baumia, and I'll come to Dr. Baumia and
Nidia, yeah.
But it's also indicated, sir, or no, he is moving towards some arrangement that he calls free, duty-free kind of port arrangement. And I would have expected some further explanation on that because I'm on Vonyati free pay.
Another free thing has come.
But that cannot be because Ghana is part of a customs union. ECOWAS is now a customs union. And once you are part of a customs union, you are there every common external tariff. So you cannot say, would you tariff from any debit?
One can say.
No, I make how people understand the word free.
One can free.
Okay, I say.
Be tagged to Togo. Togo get free.
How do you refer to Togo there?
Oh, sir.
Togo tariffs.
Tariffs war.
No, how did
it will be tagged? It will not be higher. No. But then you're free.
So it will be aligned with that?
Well, remember how because
just to compete. But one can say free. Now
no, when you say aligned, you see tariffs now Togo for HR is the common external tariff. But Abayanka some fat tariffs into imports so. And that's the point I'm making.
So is duty free?
No. You see, and
Togo is duty free. It's not duty free. How would they maintain the pot?
Do they pay duties on?
How would they pay workers?
No.
By all means, there will be some payment.
No, you see, there are levies. Do you see when you take import duties?
One can free, but to their cost.
Okay,
just to
yeah,
one can free. I say you align it
to Togo. Okay, all right. Nena make an say, "Oko ports ho." And one in fact a greater percentage of GRE for revenue. Every ports ho. But Nansen yes hasikano. Because of the arrangements at the ports. Now, import duties are indexed to dollar. And we know, sir, there is volatility in our exchange rate regimes. And then start here. Look, exchange rate stability. Ghana has not enjoyed exchange rate stability consistently for 2-3 years. And if you are indexing your import duties against a currency like the dollar, what you are trying to do is at every point in time, import duties are going to go up anytime there is a fall in the power of your currency. And at any time your currency depreciates against the dollar, that would translate into higher import duties. Wow. And almost see they are going to introduce, they are going to review the arrangements now and make sure, say, import duties are competitive.
Okay.
In some sense, it's not very different from what Dr. Baumia is saying, but maybe, like I said, when Dr. Baumia explains what he means by he's going to align it with that of Togo, then we can understand what it means. Because you also need to be careful. Say, you do not at the end of the day lose a lot of revenue because that's where your revenue is coming from. And like greater percentage of your revenue is coming from. Until in your bid to satisfy a certain demand, say, import duties no bibi. And if you are not careful and you want to overly satisfy that demand, you might make a promise that would not be actionable. Anything Amika say, every policy ought to be actionable, sustainable. You may even say, okay, this is actionable, but is it sustainable? Because you need to go for our arrangements are different. They are part of a different monetary zone called the UEMOA. What is here? Mima dream you can do it but collapse the economy. Because where a greater percentage of your revenue is coming from, you are saying say you said Togo for DNO. And there will be a huge reduction in revenue. There will be a huge reduction. I am saying say some of the things we need to do is let's get rid of this indexation, this dollar indexation. Yeah, no free is enough relief even to importers. Say exchange rate no cost rule and cost rule. You have an arrangement that is not based on the dollar. Every Tuesday, they review. You can say tariffs, at the port, and most of the time they review them upward because your dollar no sabi at change.
But Mimi, so if we don't peg it against the dollar, how realistic would our tariffs be?
Oh, Chairman,
because now can be about losing revenue.
Yeah.
Sika eba futunum asonte.
You see, asonte in the sense that when people are able to afford the tariffs, they import more. So
tariffs ni ya the nyama more beba.
So that you get more. There is something in economics we call the Laffer effect. Laffer.
Any other?
Laffer effect, and it works both in debt management and in taxation. And it was named after Nipana or this had in Bayano.
Okay.
Arthur Laffer. Reagan commissioned him to do a study.
So say me so kwa gambaga ba unti a tribute one.
German Empire said, "No one be overcome."
President Reagan or US man, the Juma said,
"Say on share kwanya mbefaso ama omu taxes because
eto
because." And all yesterday, no who say you have two choices. Near can either increase the rate of the tax until Anka Canino would 2.5%.
Now the cost,
no, they are 5%. And now ube trim na wama nkrofo mutua taxes na aye bebre.
Until widening the tax net, no?
Yes. Until obe who say, look, you're increasing the rate of tax, no. Two effects are likely. Say, look. The opposite effect is what you are going to get. I also two tax rates no more. But the effect is increase here. You get lesser tax revenue.
Because you'll be on a bit here.
Except and people even begin to evade tax. They will avoid and evade tax. And the higher the rates, the more likely you are going to get lesser receipts.
Until your form na say spreading more. Kwajo Ahodo was Sheffield, UK. Or same in country so Baumia didn't say port duties will be free. But Togo's will be our benchmark. Meaning ours will not be higher than that of Togo.
Yes, I think that's Kojo Madam Fupa.
Oh Nimno. Or that's sending messages so I mean Nimno.
Oh that. Oh is an academic. He's a good guy.
Great.
And he's the type he engages you, then you can have an intellectual conversation.
Great.
But it's still the same point I'm making. So if we use Togo as the benchmark, and Yen said Togo, or more race no more tariffs no form. My concern is that we are likely going to lose more revenue. And given say ports when what is going to be the effect on our revenue mobilization efforts? Already, tax to GDP ratio in this country form, which means our tax collection effort form. And if you are bringing in policies that would ensure a further reduction in our revenue collection, in our revenue receipts now, and I'm saying port not necessarily using Togo as a benchmark, but there are some administrative and some policies administrative constraints any. I can say managerial decisions we are taking in the last few years. Like this indexation and making one second. If we are able to just say, look, we are going to have either specific rates and whatever you decide, but it should not be indexed against the dollar because this is a volatile currency. As far as our currency goes, the dollar, it keeps running until we tariffs in such a way that a dollar na adie you can say tariffs na anytime dollar be kosro and yensika no so beti no not just import duties no kosro. And at the end of the day, Chairman, if I were importing, let's say, and I'm even talking about producers, I'm not in the habit of supporting Grover who import a lot of finished goods. Intermediate product goods be wa the production and no now omodi kan the production manya nyoma bi na tariffs no they keep going up. If I were producing, let's say, 10 tons of a particular intermediate good, na say tariffs na cost, which which means it's going to affect my production.
Mr. Bibi, your analysis and as overview of the two parties in the manifesto Nomadabana. What are the pluses and minuses for you?
Chairman, some of the I mean, generally speaking, when each of the manifestos, they have specific policies on revenue, or let me say fiscal policies are, some of them are actionable, some we can debate, but generally they focus on the need to get our economy from where it is today. There are challenges, which for me is a good admission.
Just
but and they've all spoken about fiscal reforms. One, NDC has spoken, for example, about the fact that they want to keep deficits consistent with the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and they want to keep the limits of fiscal deficit in line with say it should be according to the Fiscal Responsibility Act. But one Fiscal Responsibility Act, we suspended it after it was passed. 3 years in fact, we never had the chance to implement that act, and I would have expected, say, 3 years down the line after COVID was the reason why we suspended it. But we are in the 4th or 3rd year after COVID. Still, it's on suspension. NDCC or MOBA, as part of we need to have a guide. Fiscal policy rules. SAACT is one of such. Is to make sure, say, so the new money be wow, but once there is no law to bind you, my expectation is that Orabomia would also, think along the lines and say, look, and yes, Nisa act on the war, but we'll remove the suspension and begin to keep ourselves in check. And the fiscal reforms, even though there are varying degrees of how much reform they would do, because we've short tax reforms now. Dr. Bobby has spoken about e-levy. Both of them are saying, look, idea is scrappy, and I share that view with them. If you want to promote technology adoption now, and I mean, a country, Ghana is very far from the frontier. Ghana is a laggard. You can't laggard that when it comes to technology adoption in our son. And son, you maybe ever had the not just a chairman, a chacha will be ansana. We are late adopters.
But the parliament and I come here drink cheso.
Mati chairman, and he say ye per se ye one crop more mu. Etia say ye what age and era more technology in the BBA. You don't place a tax on Nyoma that can discourage.
That's why e-levy must go.
Must go. And I'm excited, Dr. Baumia, regardless of the fact that Otimubi. But when who said, and that's the fine thing being an economist. Chairman, an economist would see what Sebi, you the ordinary person, may not see. Ntianka on your economist, probably the likelihood of Bakazo Adi Maben Ediba and Tientuas would be very high.
But also betray him.
Also betray him. Mahamazusi obetray him, and now they are saying, I don't know him is here now or Chayama. But we've had this conversation. Chairman, being a vice president, I have said, look, the rule of the vice president in this country, if you don't create a rule for yourself, you have no rule. The constitution gives you just one. You see, and cry year free.
Ababak, Police Council and Armed Forces Council. Oh, yeah, chairman of the Police Council, chairman of the Armed Forces Council.
And if this is the only role the constitution gives to you, if you don't create a rule for yourself, you'll be useless. What is here? And he cannot at this point, because Mampenyi Akufo-Addo Neka's on the Kwambia's open e-levy. Why you wanted him to go and tell Akufo-Addo say, Master, yeah, didn't free when you free my made judgment. What were people expecting? Jack Toronto, what you way? Or no, like
so. Why need Jack Toronto?
Or Akufo-Addo?
They're being friends, sir. I don't know.
Oh, not in a derogatory manner.
I know. So you're being humorous. Yeah. I know.
Oh, yeah. Wait, dear. Chama ain't him. Papa, okay. Oh no. So go got. Hey, quite menso. What is here? Nti I say yes. Nyoma na osi obeye no. Some of them he has no power to implement them at this point.
Okay.
Nti osi obecha e-levy everywhere. We should accept it as a dear. That will be a new policy in his regime. Now, finally,
yes.
Ansana nana bebe muno. German is becoming exciting. Say now we are focusing more on issues. jobs in the Uma Bakumi,
there are good jobs, there are bad jobs, there are insulting jobs.
And I think,
but at least it's not coming from the main people.
No, main people in America.
Okay.
Well, their jobs are, coded.
Acceptable.
Acceptable, yes. Well, and for example, Mama saying, Akufo-Addo is the president Ghana never had. And me no drink. Chairman, look, the expectations I had about Owura Akufo-Addo, and what he said he was going to do, like the kind of image he presented, that's not the image we are seeing today. Today, the image I see of Akufo-Addo is an image of I don't care. I couldn't be bothered. But that's not the image. I believe in Ghana image, and I care for you image, and you be new. Image new. Oh, and I all about me also saying, they are not going to reset Ghana. They are going to upgrade. That's an interesting one. What is here? Ojitum said there may be challenges, but to say a reset, not just a quit. No, we need to move forward with our challenges. And moving forward comes with challenges. Until you deal with the challenges as you move forward. And these are interesting jobs, and I expect we'll begin in the coming days to focus more on the issues sector by sector, specifics. For example, and maybe second Rebecca, some of the responses are Odima journalists. Some of the responses.
Welcome to how the responses meet here.
Some of the responses were solid. Some I have my disagreement. For example, when they asked him about Cocoa Body, was it as far as he knows Cocoa Board is not collapsed? Come on, Chairman.
Let's leave it there. We'll come back. This one from Eric Amponsa Boateng, tax expert, says, for petroleum or mining, government receives royalties at a rate of 5% and then receives the initial carried interest and then additional carried interest. In most of these agreements, we have stability clauses in them and therefore you can't change them. I believe is the reason why the rate can be changed. In addition, the pairing of the Ghana card and tin has led to a widening of the tax net. Eric Amponsa Boateng, tax expert. Osafo Kantanka in Nigerian Ghana, Atik is contradicting himself. He wants the pegging of the tariffs against the dollar to be removed. He agrees that this will potentially reduce the tax receipts, but he's okay with it. However, he sees a big problem with pegging the tariffs against that of Togo. This can also result in reduced receipts, but he doesn't see a problem with that. Osafo Kantanka Nigerian Ghana.
Maybe one team.
Don't worry, I'll come to it. Dr. Atu Edu says, Atik, you're confusing your listeners. You want a tax reduction at the ports.
Not tax reduction. They should stop confusing. I'm talking about indexation, not tax reduction.
Correct. It's I'm saying. I mean, can you if you with him? But Amadou Alassane will Czech Republic or say it is impossible to use Togo as our benchmark. They belong to a different monetary zone.
Absolutely.
We can rather widen the tax net to get more people to pay. Let's focus on micro tax collection to move revenue maximization. Kwame Zash says a flat tax system can boost revenue.
Absolutely.
Especially where tax evasion is rampant, because it simplifies the tax code. With everyone paying the same rate, there are fewer loopholes to exploit and less incentive to hide income, as there's no advantage in evading taxes on higher earnings. This transparency makes it easier for tax authorities to enforce compliance and detect evasion. As a result, more people are likely to report their income honestly, and the broader tax base can lead to increased revenue. Kwame Zash sends that one, and I hear Atik saying exactly.
I agree with him.
Audition Chairman General, my only problem with the NDC manifesto is the 24-hour policy, which is the flagship. President Mahama said it is not compulsory. Why then are we fighting over it? Audition Ajabing in Hacho. And so okay, Messi is giving Nana Kumia fans, even though Nana hasn't spoken yet. Atik, when will you applaud Nanado with all the developmental projects? Be fair, Latte King Rashid, Temagov City. I don't really understand why Atik thinks Baumia should know everything. How can he question Baumia based on rumors? Gastiman, for this one, the minimum Atik can you, then okay.
Clarity will help.
Atik is telling us the Akufo-Addo he knew is not the Akufo-Addo today. What did he expect? Akufo-Addo came with a no-nonsense style. We rejected him. Today he has brought Oye, and now you expect Nana Posabediako. I say Akufo-Addo ban in the situation ya fama o cool down
And was that you?
and yeah the man into your bedding. Clifford says simply requesting for tax clearance certificate for enjoyment of basic social services. Even free SHS for wards will do the magic by widening the tax net. Moving forward, Dana, Mpacho, enter now.
Kwame.
Yes, Dana.
Me that's it. Hey, Kwame.
Yes, sir.
Ya wa huchire mu obi aje atum. But ne ma ba ku mienu miensa bi koso a e ma me ndika pa. O se me meti, unu bi ameti Spintex.
Sprintex.
Jano pay me bay me do flower pot. Na ejuma no.
O maybe
Chese ahoden a obodi ahye mu no. Nkranhye.
okay.
Na ohwe se na flyover yi omoma ekwan so na yera John Mahama ye no masoa de bowie mu a de akof
Moto in Aquas Legon.
first grade full Spintex akofu motorway na kusi was just a huge project and a permission was almost cost of year pa na baby am office one so ya obecha be lante
Yeah, o master TV.
oh akaka no maybe
Me fa watch it.
oh akaka no
Say
maybe
edu baby na fe installed na enko na nim.
Say flower pot no cry na make no so na esto but obecha be so cost of na ofan to in Sawam day through Pokwa ni Amasaman. And so ma sha ma start here asphalt no kwa. I'm saying on 10 lanes so. Say o ma study so bugu kota. Nti no so nigisem say niema ekoso. Afi kaswa to Winiba dual carriage no so. Ya nti say ekoso pa. And Eastern Corridor. Kwa me mpotemo. And also koye pa. Nti ena kakra kenka ho a nti even though ya wa ho kire mu no good news p enso ewo ho ma menhwa na mira minwa ketwa Atik lithium ya Atik ken yenya ya jetum se ye koye nemu no lithium ejuma no eba bedi akotene wo Ghana hapa if you say ye ko digital ne abefo ejuma e friend digital technology e bini electric vehicles bini phones eba ye gadgets use laptops bibia battery na shemu no ye nya no from mineral nyakopon abode e friend lithium any dey battery say nya solar meaning Kwame so solar will fear
Kakrebi.
but battery ni nya say nya lithium and afi Mahmoud Bawumia
Obisi Menkancha so Beche Bilamte is nowhere near completion.
oh on my office wo
I say I also use the place on Sunday. Tell Nana Kumia it is nowhere near.
but at least the work is going on
Work is going but it's nowhere near completion.
oh Kwame me jina me officer me hu you know
Well.
although they be our drive until hu esro but me so ni me officer
STC.
me officer me hu the whole project oh drive there and from hope na be hu but the farm hokra no oma ye one lane from Obechebi to Mahama circle interchange oma ye one lane
Yeah, I see.
Alticast ni nya fa ho but u gina baby am office hu esro ho o minya ejuma na efe pa until next time o drive on don gina
No hesro.
on call on fosro no
Right.
nti Kwame
Yeah,
Atik ken mejitum ye koye nimi sa nyankopon abode e friend no lithium mi ahwe any gold no ba be yepe this any e bibia na wo be kan so ayira ba omi aka se Oba be ye solar 2,000 megawatts. Solar inya batteries here this store solar inya lithium. Enti lithium ni ye nyankopon abode a ehun ba be hia pa wo wi asiba. Enti batteries phones here ye use ni laptops inya electric cars inya lithium. Nyankopon chade ye nya bi organa ha. Na tike ka se sa lithium ye se e bo ho ban ye pa. Ye nya agitum. But onim na ye nya no ye nya no organa se ya ye ho adwuma yi. Ye nin krofo no san agreement 2014. Your friend was exploration agreement. And the agreement no chere say so mu hu lithium. O mo hu lithium ni dia o no ma bo omoka. But so mu hu lithium ni bi dia e hihye ni on beko no. Ye tron ni nya 2014. But no cry no na say so be kaya minister no. Em say Jinakpo.
Yep, Abu Jinapo.
Yeah, oba ye hu press conference chere in faswa even under the 2014 agreement no. Faswa ibenya wo lithium dem. But going forward, no see timinya new discoveries of lithium. You sure say na TKK ebebem. Because e idea ehun hia pa ye ko ye nibi. Na Togo port I think me can in say tema any Togo omo compete anambwa. Between the dem ko fa Togo, between dem fa tema. Na ohwe statistics now. There's a lot of smuggling coming into Ghana.
Every Togo.
Every Lomé.
Yeah.
Because if we Lomé right on the border. Anambwa. Lomé is on the border. Aflao. Na smuggling a cost because nipani pidum cars, machines, drinks, nyamapi, de Togo because of hono omo port duties no e from kakra. Normal smuggle. So na say mo multimedia here documentary be on. Minim se kwa mis wenya ho ahwa.
Debbie, me share.
A whole big industry, custom officials, immigration officials. Obama, I think so. Who's a documentary? Nancy, about 3 weeks.
Oh, I see.
It's a whole industry based on the fact to say, Nipani dom near Magana Fopi, the Onema Fatogo, Lomé port. Now ya smuggler ba. You share bibi kakrama customs the immigration. It's a whole industry. Here's a documentary now. Now, Baumia can in a sense. It's some port charges differences no. Yebema yen dia ne Togo dia na yepe.
Okay.
Tina be ya sa business PI Fatogo Lomé port ya ni nya ba Ghana. Ni nya ba Ghana. It's a fa Lomé port and Togo port. Tina be ya so betra. Na sa smuggling PI cost we. E no so be ba for. Nti said Lomé dia no e wo form no nti. Because you lose revenue, but the volumes that will come because a lot of the importation follow men in Ghana for a bagan near the follow men because of duties now for now. I think you can say cocoa board are collapsed now, but names are collapsed.
No,
cocoa board will collapse here. And now come home with Juma.
No, yes, we collapse.
It's almost
they have folded up.
Nothing. You see, I collapse. Just I say, I say.
And say,
cocoa board. I say.
Cocoa board survives on the...
Okasa collapse here. Just a good.
No, I say.
No.
The context is I say.
Not a good year. Let's agree that cocoa board ewa huchiri. Like many.
It's been run aground.
Yeah, cause of one huchiri. But okasa collapse. Just a good.
We see is like problem no
coffee.
And you be
Just kojo to.
Enguye. They are in difficulty. They are in difficulty. There's no doubt about it. But enguye. They say obe ko workers here juma. They didn't dey oma nya contract electric cocoa and coba oma nya fertilizer. They didn't dey juma na koso. Enu anso no kwame. Boteman. So ni mo.
Yeah, mini Boteman pa.
First class 6 kilometer road. And our president could be ano. Fefe. But my school junction was Legon, the motorway. I think what found? Oh, FFP. And now new sports stadium. No, since Saira Hall has changed completely. There is a road in Sudia because it gives access. Properties, because with businesses, but
a man for I rented down home, which I
but they almost saw on business or
say all of a sudden landlords may increase rent.
Yeah, it's progress. So you be access. I
swear.
But it's a conversation for another day.
Because 5 kilometers running empty. There's just bush left and right.
I better say a bush. I'm out for the
but road near and now President Kati or this a soccer ball from motorway. See about a check. But
I only pray, say we the final shortcutting.
For some highway, no.
I pray. Nana me bumpire say near President Hoye and Rano. The final.
Kwame means me the
I'm a contractor and crowd called Suka.
I'm here Pamo squatters. I'm a squatters na samba.
Now also President Kokati saw no.
There be Minkas or Katiso Tametry.
Contract had been given.
Contract had been awarded Yama TMA for Epamo squatters. Echo squatters na samba.
Yeah, Bompa is a president now.
Oh,
and then in nice Simaka Kokati saw the dear. Ebe dear fan Pabono and touch.
Wait, Nana, wait, in Yempabo sa na yedia the bedroom. Ebi wa yenya action.
Oh, almost Fiscal bet $350 million.
More yeah, sure.
Oh, finance minister can.
Oh, but Pukwasi is progressed quite considerably.
The job should have been done by June of this year.
No,
but
scope.
But say I quite nunca crow an article.
Anything delay. No, the scope was changed.
No, but even so, the money allocated. They said by June the job should be done.
No, the scope.
And we are in August.
And
2 months later,
I spoke with the contractors.
Almost a day.
And almost by the job should have been finished June of this year. But sometimes I don't know if I have their permission to.
Then don't speak.
Okay. Say we have no discussion.
No,
don't mention them.
No,
because cash in my.
Because I need a project.
As Ajana 1, Ajana 2.
If the money is sitting down, why should you?
Only say
that's why I think no money sits down.
No money sits down.
Chairman, when you secure a loan for a project, don't divert.
But we were just
it's a diversion. No more divert.
Okay. President Dakwa Kokati saw the me hope is almost done.
Yeah, but the
$350 million. Then also a sempa email. Na Kwame, Yera no mendisi for almost almost koye omo manifesto. Now trebi.
Whenever, yeah.
Nsem no omo kan enya mi hu baabi a ekwa kosi.
How are you?
Omo catcher and say banks na ya merge no. ISCB no. Omo ba. Omo de sa banks no license be sama. In the same manifesto, Zomo can say Bank of Ghana independence, no matter Shemukina. But to Babe restore licenses, you are going to interfere with the work of the Bank of Ghana. Nti o can say Babe share independence no mukina. Na more NDC for na more contradictive. Because Bank of Ghana and the two banks, that is their work. They regulate the banking industry. Into o can say John Mahama, o can say Bano Babe. Or the license number Mancroft. Now in the same manifesto, so Castle Babes, Ubabi Mia Bank of Ghana independence more. Now we contradict you. Now Okache and say economy no Jama Ghana 2016. It was a rosy what he could know that rosy economy. Economy now John Mahama Jama in 2016 a rosy economy. Rosy. How is that possible? Say, how is that possible? Any part ye two are buying good because of the economy. Head and economy ye rosy. Head and our my call IMF economy ye rosy. Now I can say CD no na one day no. Obama ejina. Na me ko no that lo see through urgent economic recovery program. I don't see anything. Kwame.
Urgent economic program.
Well, Obama CD na ejina. I see anything. One share program kwan yo befa so. Now so say the urgent economic recovery program ya ba. Na be ma CD na ho de engine. Asia ne say. Minti asia. Minji this NDC for na bukra no. Omuti asia. Obehwe president mama record cause Kwame. Aye bida. Oni eto ato so. Anamboa.
Peace.
Bi a waye bida no. Ero ne ma ya to ade so. Se to aso no aye bi. Osha President Mahama record 2014 afi 2014 our no year president of Ghana Sikano IFN no CD no according to Bloomberg the CD was the worst currency in the whole world 2014.
Yeah, but that was 10 years ago
under John Mahama, and
today it is not doing very well.
Yes, but we can't John Mahama say about the CD no be man who dey shame, and I'm saying aye bida and yet one is nti me hwa no waye nam de atoto no kan dey nti o kasa obema CD na gina enukwa wan kire yan o say true urgent economic recovery program ntiase but me hwa ni record no ya me kai say 2014 or year president the CD according to Bloomberg was the worst currency in the whole world. Na o see Oba be rationalize a fees ewo pot. One chair kwan obefa so. Just what kind of track Oba or say then the bank report them because Oba be kuntetia corruption. One chair kwan obe kuntetia corruption. Na me kind ni say Yera Mahama president. Corruption na Dory or man pa. Na Dory or ni nema ba kwa Ghana for bufu ye me tu ni gu ye enso ye corruption ento hwe no ye onya akwanya no ye no Kenya ebobra sam di kan say aye bi Daniel to ane so na obekai na say government official one OSP special prosecutor say wahwem on Jindi say John Mahama Bonibi or your Bonibi was a aircraft na cut off Airbus no. But we don't kwabi. Let me be sami who say government meanwhile no OSP no a share no so say John Mahama na government official one. Enti kwami let me be sami who say government official one na John Mahama said the who song was a Airbus mu adentina yera Martina Midu or can't time be a trade Muse Mahama na government official one. Mahama and Kasa any the end is a cheater for D na tem. Say I didn't know can say Mahama na government official one. Say government official one na Mahama. Say the who song I didn't know first OSP no can say Mahama na government official one. Mahama and Kasa friend. In some Mahama Kafa OSP Martin person may repeat. But okay. Kwame to be sa hu sa asem
there be una o committee
but so na make can what me ya drink say government official one na ene Mahama Jatum say or no adentina amidu kan first say or no government official omudi amidu fa kwanya omudi first Mahama kasa free amidu on printable words mintiase I'll say a small and medium enterprise or more tax rebate 2 years. Yeah. But MPP ni ba me say ba we have 3 years tax rebate. Na also obo betra e-levy mu.
Yeah.
Na fe betting tax na kenka. Betting tax o ko gina buku ho ba bi ko cancel betwem. Afi manifesto no ba am say on bend am be review say den.
Me got some betwem.
Well, manifesto don't be review betting tax.
Okay, me.
But today, I'm fancy be on refi, but me now, e-levy also be tremi, and also MPP so say, but me also say bo be trem. But Baumia tre a kwanya ye be faswa ye be timi and recover. Ye be sure free e-levy.
Yeah.
Bahama de wakan what track ke me trem. Sana ti geke. The say e-levy sky dey bay I be sure. Be dey na yansa kan say scan. One tre wakan what track ke. Na so the 24-hour economy eba. They better tournament here.
It be a tick, yes, yeah.
Atik or the masters in economics.
Anytime say be a tier,
Who be senses of or bet on to be chewase.
Oh, I think I'm
Because who him Kwame?
Natika in house.
Kwame. Yeah. 24.
You put your mouth in the permanent condition of shut up.
Kwame.
Okay.
24-hour economy. Kwame must say radio station.
24
More run it 24 hours.
Yeah.
And yes, say mo de mo pese mo bedaw. Mo ka koda mo kunu mo echi na mo ri mo echi. But more run it 24 hours economy because e profitable. Say e profitable. Na mo boka you mo run it 24 hours. Mo be 11 12 weapon. Because electricity and then you can machines are editorate. Someone to be in Tisa camera, moon 24 hours.
Yeah,
Until 24 hours. And the results of demand. Anamba.
Yeah.
Ojitum.
Yeah, me too because
the results of demand. Until and ye bibia ube timidi imrebia babetoso. So Usha NPP and Shishe. Sa 5 million panels are here, baby. Ye will me
5 million panels for what?
For the solar, the 2,000 megawatt solar.
No, you're
we're going to establish solar manufacturing in the country. Panels. And then there's lithium. So, Bekaya, Yera Jinapokacha and say, yeah, lithium battery production. Based on the lithium water. We're going to buy a certain amount of the mineral and establish a lithium battery factory. We no need 24-hour battery because my demand. I say made in Ghana. Buy made in Ghana. You did ba so the law mra eba. Would the Ghana sika e de kwako to bibia. And say o chere say e say o to bibia e wo Ghana. So be careful butcher so chese wunye bi organa so I so ya muda be see many special IC why I said an effect
Ghana here
now so obe cop party come the one cop party sakesi obe cop party si bi na
kumia no say wa sheda atu tribulate tamami
kwa mi na dey
to aso
kwa mi say be share
now share na just osu kobi
me come into me name na this is kwa me but person would do my dance into na make come because sometimes you so no pee ya crave butcher ade enti say o ye bibi na ye use Ghana for sika as say top made in Ghana we are going to write it into law and no na the 20 and then this demand about and no na ma 24 hour no eba share solar ya about me as your day by 2 Ghana high solar demand be 4,500 megawatts.
Demand for solar.
Sorry, demand for
electricity, not solar necessary.
Sir, 4,000 megawatts. A be hydro. A be free
Insium.
That is Akosombo. Akosombo might be about
1,054, I think. I'm not too sure of the exact figures.
Depending on the water level. The best 1,000 megawatts. Bonsuma and Kakra. Buin Suma and Kakra. What do you mean, Boma? Maybe 1,400 megawatts from solar. From hydro.
Hydro.
Now, can you from thermal? I can't thermal la. Sa generators. Na sa generators. Your friend no thermal. Thermal ye heat. Na heat no mo noa. Eso mo noa baby.
We crude.
Na no mo de noa no either say a gas.
Crude.
Oil. Ni ya ye crack. Tini bonti. Eno ntino water no akosombo dia no ni bui ni pon dia no e be koso be say 7 cents an hour 7 cents America's car. So time as he generated car power now with me, it cost about 15-16 cents an hour.
Intenable ding.
The board thing. Solar no even cheaper than water.
10 day we are yankopon idea man.
No answer all the panels no. And no that's all. Batteries na kenka. Kwame. Enti out of them 4,500 or so megawatts, but me say 2,000 will come from solar. So
that'll be a huge investment.
We are going to produce 5 million panels.
Locally.
Now share Kwame mo roofi mo dan kakake. Mo roofi me nya sure say panel back nkra wo so.
There we
are no boss sa shekwa. Can you imagine if you have 100 panels on this your roof and panels on every roof for at least public buildings? We might see a team here by 5 million panels across the country, and that is going to produce the mega. So if 2,000 megawatts over the next 4 years, ATM free solar, I bet my electricity bono up to form.
You could even do time tariffing.
Electricity bono ba from one and demand the cost. And no 24 hour no eba. And young Samson can we have NTB day. Reduce electricity. Chair quite be reduce the cost of electricity. Because I'm a business in here. And no ba for moi. Now nipa save sika from electricity bills. Now business also save sika from electricity bills. And I demand na cost no it me 24 hour economy. So our credit scoring ya about me a day. So it's a nije kese. Kame uti we. Juma ya we.
Yeah.
O peso koto niema. O kra mpo denke hu anim kra po ma wato niema no higher purchase. So maybe peso koto carpet. Now koto we new windows, glass na can count. Everything am out on higher purchase cause you nimu if it. But uye juma. So inti no an say because Kwame and you know despite me the arrangement na bosumi bia we pay ebia 5,000 cedis na yebeti mo be 1,000 amai. So because you are in formal employment. But Kwame, there are millions of Ghanaians only formal employment. So no so no kaso koto bibia or koto fridge and or koto deep freezer and or koto fan and or koto air conditioner ba kwa chiso discato.
Yeah.
Because they are not in formal employment. They say Kwame put the odu aye mbisa ze kofa Ghana ke hu anima apen no ano.
Nyame adum intime many match.
But obi wo hwa only formal employment. Into odo no
credit scoring in beboa.
Wonderful. Into the huge informal sector. Nipa eton ade kelewele wa ha nipa eyeyi eton wache wo nima. Eton gobe. Ewo salam down. Plumbers. Ome yeta ejuma vulcanizers who are not in formal employment. And then because of Ghana card, because of GPS, because of Ghana card, omo digital identity, because of GPS, omo unique address, because of Momo, omo bank accounts. Until you can then do their credit profile. And almost the credit profile na ye good. Obetimi akọ no one so to toniema on credit.
In the meantime, Sahid at NPA in Takrade, I hear you're listening to us live. So good morning to you, Sahid at NPA in Tadi. Atik, Unyana Samba. I disagree with my friend Atik that someone has run Cocoa Board aground. Cocoa Board has challenges. These challenges have mainly been due to reduction in our yield, due to rehabilitation of cocoa farms brought about by diseased trees. It will take some time for new trees to start bearing fruit. Reduced yields have increased cocoa board overheads. Kwajo Ahodo in Sheffield, UK. Now, Dambai, Francis in Dambai Utiwiji says, Tonana Komia and Atik that in Winneba, former President Mahama said nightclubs could also operate 24 hours. This one says the entire roof of SG Bank.
No, this next comment here, no correct. Me sure.
According to my production, here no correct. The only reason why I read it was I cleared with production. Because I had my doubts like you did.
That's not by the day clubs are that.
I don't know.
Like what would him say?
In citing examples, according to my production,
no, see, didn't come.
Or nightclub, say
ABA. Say you didn't come.
Or maybe me around 24.
No, just a no more operate.
And ABA day club, nightclub.
And there's a bed in your day clubs.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so I time na more secondary school, me seniors. Some na man ko afternoon jam. Time na curfew ho.
And it be never no.
And ABA afternoon jam, baba.
Afternoon jam.
Town Anakumia, the entire roof of SG Bank and car park is solar paneled. Ajabeng Hacho. Now that's interesting. SG Bank from Boma Basso, Ebuapa, if you know me, Yekaka. Let's see how it goes.
There was a plan to solarize all government establishments.
I know for a fact, say ECG head office. I think some of it is
the plan by the Energy Ministry was to solarize all government establishments. They even got a facility from World Bank.
Okay, I see. But I think Adina Pascarity. Obisimi Kanchos, the Pokwasi Road has been occasioned. The delay in the Pokwasi Road project has been occasioned also by court actions where initial owners took compensation, turned around to sell same to unsuspecting buyers. So it's not really the case of funds being diverted.
But no, so no.
It's
anyway, there's an engineer I know. I suspect he's the one who sent it.
Well. Let's see. Obviously, ANC More Car Park as well. Has solar. Now that's sweet. Nana Kumia, I believe you readily commend former President Mahama for his decisive action in 2016 to save STC from collapse by providing 50 new buses, a move that significantly impacted the transport sector. The same visionary leadership and commitment to nation building that Mahama demonstrated will reflect in the initiatives we are discussing today. Let's acknowledge the continuity of good governance for the betterment of our transport industry. Musa Abattoir in Aswase. Chairman General, the seat of government, Jubilee House Car Park, is also solar powered, and that's somewhat Brian being my college at the Saddle College. Adisado College is also 90% solar. Phillips in Tardy sends that one. Okay, Nipako di Pokwasi the end by I'll see a friend Farouk. I don't know if it's the same person you say is an engineer. So we will leave it there. I want to go to
powering only car parks.
No, sir. Also, young power at the end. The solar new car park no so a roof so then it's wired into the building.
Oh, okay, that's what they mean.
Yes, so it's not the car park that is solar powered. Yes.
Now
and some of the panels, no. Also car park no, because of the roof now. Yeah.
ECG, I think I've seen that.
Yes. Okay. Nana Kumia, you don't believe it. At the NDC Manifesto launch, John Mahama said nightclubs will run 24 hours. He did not tell the target market. The youth were supposed to work to increase production, or the pensioners. How does he expect the economy to stabilize and grow? If the latter, do our pensioners have enough energy to boogie down 24 hours? Or they will run 8-hour shifts? 50-year-olds go and come. 60-year-olds go and come, 70-year-olds go and come. Anyways,
I don't think so.
Harriet from East Legon.
I'm checking with the producer.
But me check here,
maybe the context.
I just asked them, and this one says, I'm listening to you from Washington, Seattle State. Okay. Greetings to my children, Gifty, Taylor, and Ketia, Derek, and Enoch, Taylor, and Ketia. So good morning to all of you. Ghana Money in Washington. Well, we know me, Mama Chin, Anope. Nana Kumia, you don't seem to believe it. But
Chairman, I mean, if there's no context, it would be
Well, I leave it there. I don't want to see
what kind there. Never say me too.
There be never be brave. Intimate beside
24-hour night clubs.
Anyway.
Time be binya ni akwejuma.
Say omo be point adwo no.
Omo point adwo no mo ye dey. Omo nkoda.
Oh say endie.
Okay. Kwame, because you near that.
Nana we na me kwatik. Nana we account 5 minutes.
No 24-hour no me so. Na me can say.
We are going for the jungle.
24-hour no Kwame.
Yeah.
It will depend on demand. Demanding so there you can't write it by law. And near to say stable currency. And near to say buy made in Ghana. And near to say cost of electricity, cost of water, credit scoring. When and a bema demand a page na 24-hour no aba. Na yera no sa catch so obe save usika from reducing the size of government.
Yeah.
We mahama mintroso no. Because obe kaya or buy the ministers of the buy na those which mails.
I said wakusua ntebia.
Say the ministers or no the omo ball president Kufuor omo buy no mails t ministers no so to bear 77 or 70 mahama buy ko 80. Nti me no can aye bidane to ane so me njindi. O say oba be ye increase investment in mining. Ase any say. Kwame no be faso. Anya ne breso na AGC collapse here. Anya ne breso na AGC collapse here and Akufo-Addo buy ya eye adwuma. O say oba be try borrowing so the record omo type fiscal e borrow over $32 billion. Anambwa. Inti okazo be try borrowing so me kwan obe faso. Also oba be limited borrowing. But your record.
He's learned from his
when? Has he told you he's sorry?
Oh, he doesn't need to say.
I'll say Babe diversify. Just no Kenya also Babe integrated bauxite on chair crown the vacuum, but na vacuum. It's just no Babe national economic dialogue in 100 days. And your mama so I could go senchi. Come one could be senchi.
There be man ko senchi.
One could be. Oh, sorry, economic consultant. A continent senchi bear 1 week or so a cuckoo dam be our work economy of Ghana. Or maybe I don't buy. I see senchi concerns. If you are no call IMF.
That was the idea.
But the IMF wasn't part of Senchi. Indeed, Mahama Kasobabe economic dialogue, as you say. Also, Babe simplify VAT, one share and how. Also, Babe expanded tax net, one share and how or ban. And she says, I didn't hear slogans and a penino a better. Also, uncollectorize statutory funds. So often could see our war. Kwame okay, so say me, Mahama friend Kofobi baloney. Because of collateralization. So okay, Kwame. But I'm the church on so about reset economy. But the Mentias here is a reset no say. Oh, they cost anything. And Kwame.
Okofitiase.
And now they cost and net. Kwame, send an economy no 2016. Ghana for ejina no so etu aban ego. Inti kaso kwa reset here. What the heck ko sa time ni biem. Na chese wa onye serious. Sa record na Ghana for too good. Inti ba mi ase there be ye koye ni. Na tiki kan was but I think that is the na ye ndie no Kwame. Uhwe mu a ehwam. Na ba mi ade tu dwa wo takradi na o twe ne la ko ne fa twe
o pa che se mu hwam mate na omre na aso ntina me
mama 5 minutes na me
debi 5 minutes ye ni bio
oh na me nka me de no bibia
debi ye ni 5 minutes bio
oh han na be mama
0 minutes
oh Kwame tell na fa dictatorship na yakọ you
oh now I am a benevolent dictator
na benevolent na zero
and I'm very proud
benevolent
of it.
Is zero
mamu akasa bebre
and
once you are arguing with me in 1 minute in can't speak out there
say say now the na ban mama time
1 minute because we start next week
from 0 to 1
benevolent
That's an improvement.
Kwame would na make catch orders look at our
me time us
look at abai is it about 10
it's 8 minutes to 11
11 yeah come 11 now.
na mama move forward
8 minutes to 11.
Kwame, me can't dear back up. Share.
Yeah.
Omem Hayati. Adia Bakwa, a DNA from 19 Kojo Ho from Kwame Nkrumah Bresu. The economy of Ghana. And a DNA. Regime after regime, party after party, president after president. Adia Bakwa, a stress economy no, a pasca a sikana one sidino. Nema sidino a one day engine. Nema best and 9 no. Bakun, say, we fiscal imbalance. You spending more than we earn. To come, we so pay 5,000. Na busumi bia uska udi de hwe ofie ne niema nya 8,000. Ajde bia na utikem. Na the tosu mi was is related low revenue. I just say ka uhia be 8,000 but revenue utimi nya for us we pay 5,000. Ti no so low revenue so na fiscal imbalance no eba. Ba ku bi me kaso we are import dependent economy. You can't import dependent. And Niema T2 bears 60% of Niema you use for your economy. Your crefre butcher. The dollar ne crap. The dollar no abe critical. But me say me ba government expenditure. Me ba beteso. Also I can say ministers now because of public administration beteso reducing the number of ministers. On can see 50, which is fine. Mama say 60, but Mama say 50. Only who knows I don't say man benefit of the doubt. But to him, many government expenditure, I'll say private sector betting me again. Obija my private sector. And to share to say a roads. Some of us are Accra Kumasi. I commercially viable. Accra Takradi. Make commercially viable. There's also traffic now was sooner. Utolua ubetimi enya humfaso. Sa rules in your bijama private sector. Yeah. Okay, butchers, I don't know.
We have told and untold highways.
Yes. But the told
ones first.
Oh, now Abekan Junction to Abekan, you can't toll it. But highway that is viable, you must toll it. You must take it from public expenditure. There are businesses, companies, almost infrastructure. Once the parameters are right. Hear me? Oh, mommy, 6 lane to Kumasi, not 250 cities. Kwame, cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap. 50 cities. No, because that you save 2 hours in traffic. It's more than the petrol for that 2 hours. It's more than 50 cities. And now your life, the danger.
Now, I think you buy a Land Cruiser at over $100,000.
Kwame,
now you're 250 city total. How many times you go to Kumasi?
Kwame, this policy alone will take about 30 billion of the public expenditure. Remember, your fiscal balance, imbalance, up to form. Afi revenue, no, or say, obibie tax net, no. What shall I say? Look, yeah, you treat direct tax. It's a minimum requirement. Yeah, bear 4 million. 4 million.
Peace FM.
Aso, yeah, bear 4 million.
Just the city.
Nana kuma, yeah, bear 4 million, miti.
Yeah, bear 4 million. Ni party say me we are in formal employment in treat direct tax. Nenti anipa ni PNT ni treat direct tax. We don't. You need maybe more informal sector. Because of Ghana card. 17, 18 million people. They say a show also because of Ghana card. Because Ghana card also a year tax number. Ti nipe P to say nipe P outside the tax brackets. Yeah, the umbrella tax bracket. Yeah, bibi kuntain bi afena okwa fill form akoye audited accounts.
And Nana Kumia, my auditor time no.
You try flat rate amount and you pay on the phone. It will bring about 9 million people into the tax bracket. Swell.
Time check 2.5 minutes to 11. Nana Kumia Yeda say we'll bring minimum 19 Nana from 10:52 to 10:57. Mama almost 5 minutes. I will be silent.
I think I'll catch him. Kunana cow 5 minutes.
Debbie, mechanical Nana mechanical trimbe ode. Na says mekasa Seattle State, Washington DC. Epacho Manu from Brejo is actually Washington State. Seattle, Washington.
That in a confusing.
Seattle State, Washington DC.
Anyway, America.
Opa could be some meka belink penny here. So
no, it was America. No more state a friend.
Washington.
And there be a capital city. No.
Washington DC.
Washington DC. Confusing.
District of Columbia DC.
Washington State.
Yeah, but Washington District of Columbia.
And I'm so
Washington State.
Almost on meka belink penny here. So in the meantime. Maka, but if I manuna for me, Ebia no be team, no fan coach, yen social. Obi say, Fawas is a punchy atik, manum, or see atik, or betran or criticize a quana ko upa. Ya quana if a for tis atik about bayabaso. Iti atik be just for was you
opaya hifa.
I started to
yes, one come and to two. Yes, who can to
I get Marty. 24-hour economy, just 2 minutes.
I think also remember 1 minute, Yanko.
Okay, me that's it. German, I've said this and I think it sounds more like a slogan than a policy.
Look, it sounds more like a slogan than a policy. Okay.
Look, and Chairman, and that is once you want to make a policy out of a slogan, it becomes difficult. Until now, as there is no clarity, there is no actionable. I don't know what. Yeah, nothing really is actionable. I am really trying hard not to believe. Say, Obika said nightclub will be part of the arrangements.
Oh.
Chairman, I'm really trying hard not to believe.
Pachoma more video no fan send your tick right.
They are sending me, but I'm in boy and I don't want to impersonate. But Chairman said no credit be hard. And it all comes down from it all boils down to the lack of clarity about Sadi. It's more like a slogan. Me my dream, and I'm not saying say take what I say, but this is what I think. Say at the top could be, let's say, 24-hour economy. Then what are the objectives you are seeking to achieve? Maybe also increasing productivity and then probably create jobs. Maybe. Then when you open here, and I'm not saying say Sabi, what I'm saying is brilliant, but I'm just sharing an opinion. The conversation would be more comprehensive. Okay, we want to achieve 24-hour economy. Name this is a slogan that is going to be founded on some key fundamental policies. ABR, cottage industrialization. Secondly, you can say working from home and changing the working hours. OB doesn't necessarily have to go to the office. You can be at home. The person can still be productive. And at the end of the day, the person can also have a job. You don't need to have structure BSN Ipankum and Sana Wani. And ABR, investment in ICT, for example. This could be the key policies that would drive the achievement of that slogan or whatever you want to call it, called 24-hour economy. Because once there is cottage industrialization, you are meeting a certain need and a demand. Ghana for, I always say, when you take the real sector of our economy, the sector that is not doing well and the subsector that is not doing well is manufacturing. The chairman who created cottage industries, sir, you are going to increase production, you are creating jobs, and once people realize that now companies are taking advantage, and you'll be never catch a company and say, yeah, Juma, increase your working hours. Because when you say you want people to work 3 shifts, what you are doing is that you are adding a cost to production. Labor cost is going to increase because you are employing 3 different people. And you are paying them. And look, anytime cost of doing business equals what producers and our firms do is they cut down on their production costs. And usually the input that suffers is labor. And this is my company. Now me production. Now me say cost of doing production are cost. And yeah, I'm not going to cut down on capital. And me capital.
I think talking about cost of production, my production says my 24 hours is over.
Chairman, we on this note.
My shift is over.
I think, sir, it can be streamlined. You can still achieve increased productivity and creation of employment by getting people to work, throughout the day and so on. But it has to be founded on certain building blocks. And I've spoken about cottage industrialization. I've spoken about the need to invest in ICT. ICT hubs. These are the things that should come under this. You're working 24 hours. But why Nyanzana is just 24 hours economy standing as a policy. Chairman, it is hollow and it is not sustainable until you would have difficulty explaining it.
You will explain tire atik medasi anope. Nana kumia me hu say botema ni moto ekwana e ofe pa nti medasi medasi
na me hu video bi a 24-hour a nightclub.
Yerian wa bar here say no an. Yerian wa bar here.
What was that video?
3 minutes past 11. Wrapping up on this morning's edition as always. Making way for the royal baby Kofi Kumbilson. The next news broadcast is on at 12. May your day be blessed as always. Yes, remember to keep your dreams and hopes alive is all you have. And as always, when you stop to say a prayer, remember to say one for me too. God bless. Good morning.